Hey folks, Fernando doing a video for Modern Survivalists, and in this little video I'd like to talk about the gray man approach versus the tactical one. Do you want to be lost in the crowd, be one average Joe, or do you want to be the guy that is obviously better prepared and it's a harder target, it's someone that obviously knows how to handle himself? Which one is best? What's my take on this? So let's get started. Right away, the first point would be that this is mostly a mental game. Sometimes we get lost when talking about gray men. We always end up, well, not always, but it's very often the case that we end up getting lost with you have to dress in a certain way, you have to wear a certain type of clothes and such, so as to not attract attention towards yourself and such. But most of all, in the practical aspect, the gray man philosophy is a mental one. And what I mean by this is the biggest aspect, the biggest thing that makes a difference is this, which is in your head and the way in which you communicate with other people. The biggest part about being gray man is not opening your mouth. Loose lips sink ships, that's the saying, and that is maybe the most important take of all of this. I've lost the count of how many cases of people that they just opened their mouth in the wrong time. They just sold a house, they just sold a car, they just got a raise or just got an inheritance of something, and maybe they have money for payments in their business or whatever it is, whatever little bit of information that they could not stop themselves from putting out there, and that just was something they ended up regretting. In the same line, in terms of gray man philosophy, is what is it that you're telling people around you? What is it that you're sharing about? What type of critical information are you unknowingly putting out there that could be used against you? In terms of firearms, you have guns, you like shooting, even these days in certain places, even your political affiliation, if you open your mouth, that is something that could end up being used against you. Now, I'm not saying that you should hide or pretend you're something else, but what I'm saying is just be careful. Be more patient, be more methodical, get a better idea of who's around you before you start sharing a little bit too much about yourself and your views on a number of different things. If this is something that it's not easy, because we like talking, we like sharing and talking about the things we enjoy. That is the most natural thing in the world. We all do this. I've done this. I do this all the time myself. I try to be a little bit more careful. Of course, I am a little bit more of a public person. I have a YouTube channel about this topic specifically. But most of the people in my life barely know what I do for a living or anything like that. They don't know my political affiliations, if I have firearms or like them or not. And this is where you have to be careful. First, learn to listen, learn to get a better idea of who's around you. I'm talking about your work environment. I'm talking about your college, university, wherever it is that you spend your time in, depending on your age, lifestyle, whatever it is. But learn, first of all, to listen, get a better idea of who's around you, and know who's a talker, who's going to be opening their mouth and being your where your information starts leaking, and get a better idea of who's the one that's likely to screw you over if you share certain information. You talk about some political view that you have, you talk about certain gun hobbies that you have, and then that person goes back to your anti-gun boss and talks about you, and no, look at Richard, he's a gun nut, he's a crazy person. Those things happen all the time. There's people with mean intentions, and there's people that just talk too much. Both of those could be something that you end up regretting sharing certain information with. Then, yes, of course, there's a matter of body language and such, but there's also a point in which Do you want to look like someone that is not aware? Maybe not so much. I think that it's actually a good idea to, when out in public, be visibly the person that is aware in whatever group you are. So, for example, criminals know how to target people that are distracted. And 95% of the people out there in the streets or going out and about will be like this, with their face glued to their phone, and that's the case for most people. If you are not that kind of person and you are aware and watching your environment and you're obviously looking around you, that is something that a criminal will immediately notice. When they're looking for someone that's distracted, they will notice, okay, yeah, that guy is not distracted. That guy is very much aware and looking around his environment, and he knows what's going on. Now, the other people around you, the ones you are trying to get mixed in, those folks will not notice that you are aware, in the same way that they don't notice that the criminal that's checking them out is checking them out. They just don't get any of that. They're just in their own little world and they're not aware of any of this. So in that case specifically, I wouldn't want to be the guy that pretends to be distracted or focused on his phone or not aware of his environment. So that's a good example of how this gray man thing, it's not one extreme or the other. It's not about being gray man or being tactical. It's about knowing what works best for you in different situations. In terms of clothing, of course, you don't want to look like you just dropped out of Iraq, wearing all camo or all tactical clothes, 511 and everything. Again, moderation is key. Sure, there's certain type of clothes, very bright colors, designs, or any t-shirts or shirts or clothing with political statements and such. That's usually the kind of thing you want to be avoiding. In terms of tactical clothes, it's very easy to, oh, those shoes are cool, I'm going to be buying those shoes. Oh, I like those pants, yes, I'm buying those as well, I'm wearing those. Ah, they're very comfy. Oh yeah, that t-shirt, that jacket, yeah. And without realizing, you're looking like a tactical wannabe. You're definitely looking like straight out of the 511 catalog. That is not really something you want to have, because that definitely goes against what gray man is, in terms of not looking like the tactical crazy person, right? Or the tactical wannabe. It doesn't really matter, but you just don't look like every other average Joe, which is kind of the idea with the gray man philosophy. Now, if you're smart about it, you can combine different things just to get different advantages. For example, the shoes I wear mostly are Salomon Quest. The Salomon Quest 4D is the name of the boots. Now, those are hiking boots, yet they are very much appreciated by some guys in the tactical community because they are actually some of the best footwear you can have. And they make the Forces version of that boot, which is all tan. And I have that as well. So I have both of them, but I'm very much aware that the tan Forces Salomon, those look like military type boots, and you have to be a little bit careful what you combine those with. Going along with jeans and just a normal, everything else is normal gray men. Sure, you can get away with tan boots. Now, if you're wearing those plus your 511 khaki pants and a tactical jacket, yeah, you're again the guy from the catalog. Also, look at a lot of the things that you find in terms of outdoors clothing. Many times, just like the boots, many times you have fantastic clothing that have a tactical advantage in terms of fibers that dry faster, that are more durable, that are more flexible. You have all of those, all that good stuff in outdoors clothing that come in more normal formats and colors. Again, you're going to be going with more tuned down type of colors, gray, dark blue, dark green, that sort of thing. But it's, at the end of the day, it's still hiking outdoors type of clothes, which just goes along with most of our people. So whatever that you're wearing that's a little bit more tactical, for example, for me, 511 pants, man, those are very convenient, and I've grown even used to using the the magazine pouch. And then when I'm in the range or when I'm shooting in a competition, that little pocket there is definitely handy, and I like having it. And I like those large pockets for putting a pile of stuff in there. But with the khaki ones, you kind of have to make sure that everything else is not tactically looking, because if not, it just completes that picture. You have the 511 in black. Black is a good color because it kind of just gets lost and you don't see everything defined, like pockets and such. But you just have to be smart about that. Also in terms of clothing and such, but also in terms of, well, right now with the virus, you have different people wearing different sort of masks, your N95s and such. I wear a military mask, and it kind of looks like a little bit too much, and you have to be a little bit careful. I try to use that and use like a windbreaker or something else. Yeah, it is what it is. It's a freaking gas mask that looks a little bit like what it is, like a military gas mask, and most people will not be wearing anything like that. At the end of the day, though, these are not normal times, and there's nothing normal about a supermarket full of people with respirators, which is the case as it is today. So I kind of put there in the balance, do I want to lose the advantage of the best PPE, which is a gas mask that I have, and just so as to look ordinary, wear a mask that's just less efficient? No, I don't think it's worth it. In fact, I haven't had any negative comments or anything in all of these. Every time I've gone out, which is like once a week or something like that, always just good feedback from people. Hey, that a cool mask, that looks awesome. I bet it has, it's great protection. I wish I had one of those. How much did it cost? Those are the comments that I've gotten. So everything very positive. But that's basically it. Yeah, I think it's not one extreme or the other. I think that there's a lot to be said about the gray man approach. And then there's times in which you either want to have a more, for example, if you are after a certain event, a disaster, you're guarding your community, your street, and you're wearing a vest with magazines and a rifle in the United States. Sure, man. I mean, you are doing something very specific, and you're not trying to blend in with a bunch of people or trying to be anything that you're not in that specific moment. You're fulfilling a role, and you're dressed for that, and you're wearing gear and equipment for that. That's all fantastic. Now, at the same time, when out and about in more normal times, you want to have that. You want to have that not attracting attention, being lost in the crowd, yet if you're careful enough, you can do that without sacrificing true tactical advantages, such as, again, in terms of clothing. Jeans, sure, they're fantastic, but that sort of thing, when it gets wet, kind of sucks. Maybe with hiking pants, you find something that doesn't look tactical yet offers a tactical advantage of synthetic fibers, faster to dry, and more comfortable if it happens to get wet. Guys, that's basically it. I hope you liked my video on this, and these are topics that I do go into quite a bit of detail in street survival skills. I even talk about different fabrics, what it is that you're looking for, if you want wool, merino wool for your socks, or that sort of thing, the way you dress. Yeah, that's something that I go into quite a bit of detail here. Even it's stuff like goes down into like small details, like you have your folder. Do you wear it with a pocket clip? Well, maybe not in New York City, where a cop will immediately notice that, or some larger city where cops are definitely looking for that sort of thing. It is noticeable. Maybe in that kind of case, you just keep it hidden. You keep it completely inside your pocket and no clip visible. But guys, that's it. Just a little bit of some food for thought in terms of gray man versus tactical setups. Folks, see you on our next video. Have an awesome day.